What was the hardest time in your relationship?
Was it hard to be vulnerable to talk about some of the things in your book?
Mission for Meaning by Gabriel Conti comes out in a couple days. So we asked you guys on Instagram for some really raw, honest questions, and a lot actually have to do with some stuff that's in this book. So let's just jump right in.
Oh, I'm back. Baby duties. What was the hardest time in your relationship? We'll just start with that one right off the bat.
Do we have the same answer?
I think so.
Probably.
3, 2, 1. Residency. Oh my gosh. It's like we were meant to be with each other or something.
We've talked about a lot, but Gabe did break down the whole thing. One moment in particular that was really hard. Was it our like first real fight?
Probably like our first and our biggest moment of tension. Soon after we got married, not soon after, this was like months and months had gone by. I knew Jess was like missing Australia and missing her home, but I was under the impression that things were going fine, and I was like, you know, as long as, you know, we stay here and the more time that we spend here, Jess will be able to make the States her home. The tough part was that she couldn't travel back to Australia at the time. So you were battling with trying to make this new place home without being able to leave and visit your family and stuff like that. It was hard for you to make it home when you had this kind of like distaste in your soul and in your heart because this place wasn't allowing you to leave. If we look down there, it's because Micaiah's down there.
Yeah, it was really difficult, and I think like we were still learning things about each other and like how to communicate with one another. It was really hard for me. Mind you, this was 2017, like this was years ago now.
You were literally 21 years old. 20 for half of it. Yeah, wow.
The reason I was in the States was because of Gabe. Not in like a resentment kind of way, but that was like another thing that was like even harder, was not wanting you to feel bad that I couldn't leave, but like I was here because of Gabe, but I couldn't leave, but I wanted to be here because we didn't want to do long distance, and it was like this whole just messy thing. I
didn't know the full extent to how much Jess was missing home. You didn't like fully open up and say like, I don't like it here, or you know, whatever. So there was like this moment of built up tension between us both of like what I interpreted what was going on and what I thought was going on, and just like my view on the whole thing, and then Jess's feelings about her situation with it all, and then kind of like this clash moment.
Look at us now.
Look at us now. We made it through it. I don't know. I don't know. I like the little vomit you have saved under your chin right there. You saving that for later?
What is one way your parents helped you or hindered you?
I'll go with helped. I just like want to honor my parents really with what I wrote about in the book. And like I mentioned in the book that there were things that I've worked through in the relationship with my parents, and you know, maybe I'll talk about it one day, but in this book specifically, I definitely wanted to like honor them. So in light of that, I was homeschooled, so like, you know, it's like the joke, oh, he was homeschooled, but like that theme in general of like my parents really taking responsibility for teaching me and my siblings, not allowing the outside world to kind of like teach us whatever it was going to teach us at random. You know, they didn't like send us to a school so we would get our like Christian education at school, and then when we come home, like nothing is really talked about or discussed. Like they were intentional about doing that with us. I was probably like, you know, 4 or 5 or 6, and we were memorizing Bible verses, and my dad kind of had a set like reading schedule for us that he wanted us to just like be reading the Bible consistently. Those kind of things that really set us up to really be taught by them more so than anyone else, which is your parents' job to do that. Like they're the ones raising you, they're the ones guiding you and leading you. I really think they did a good job with that. I'm very fortunate to have parents that did that for me.
I feel like a lot of who I am today is because of how my parents just like lived life with me. I was like always in the kitchen with mum, so she like taught me certain cooking things. If we were driving somewhere, my dad would put on like a language or something, and I like listened to some of that with him. So
go count to 10 in Greek.
No, I'm not.
Count to 10 in Greek. Come on.
So embarrassing. Or the influence that my dad had on like my love for music now.
They're very intentional with like teaching you useful things and broadening your mind and broadening your creativity and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Does purchasing the hardcover book really move the dial than paperback? I'm pretty sure we only have hardcovers right now outside of audiobook and ebook. So what I'm aware of is that if you buy a physical copy, it moves the dial more compared to like an ebook or an audiobook when it comes to like the New York Times bestseller list. So if you're trying to like help an author out to get them on the New York Times bestseller list, it's much better to buy the physical copy. I don't know like what the metrics are exactly that New York Times bestseller list like goes by. For some reason, buying the hard copy moves the dial more than like a lot more than audiobooks and ebooks. I don't know specifically with paperback. Oh, are you laughing? She just started laughing, guys. It's ridiculous. It is the most adorable thing.
I did just want to say really quickly, there's probably some people watching that don't even know. Gabe wrote a book over 2 years ago. He started the process.
Yeah, we probably should have mentioned that.
It's coming out in a couple days.
On October 18th. You can pre-order it now at the link below, missionformeaning.com. On October 18th, you're able to go in stores and pick it up. In places like Australia, I think it'll come out the following week. Also for other places, like if you're in like India or the Philippines and other countries that might not have a bookseller that's selling it there, you can order the book from a website that I'll link down below called bookdepository.com. The premise of the book is basically I'm telling stories of my life and my family's life, like multi-generationally too. I talk about like my grandparents and my parents and like choices they made and stuff. The subtitle is The Choices That Lead to the Life You Really Want. It's about living life very intentionally and making choices that move you towards the greater mission that you have for your life.
There are such personal, again, intentional stories that you included in the book. Like people will read it and be so moved from the story.
I didn't write it like a self-help book. I'm not like a self-help guru or anything like that. There's just a lot of stories that have happened in my life and things that I've experienced that I knew if I like captured them on paper and wrote them into words that I would be able to get across a really strong and like meaningful and inspiring message. And that's what I wanted to carry through with the book and just go a little bit deeper than what you'd normally see on like YouTube and stuff like that. Yeah, there's just, you know, more personal stuff in there that we'll get to
right
and the
now.
Questions too. Was there any time you felt pressure to finish the book, or was it smooth and natural? Some points were smooth and natural and felt really, really nice and good and, you know, smooth and natural. You said the words already. Other times were tough. Times where I was, you know, feeling really down about how it was turning out at some point. There were just times where I didn't feel like I could take it to the level that I wanted to, and that bummed me out for a bit. And there was about a month where I was like editing the book multiple hours a day. I was editing the book for this month.
Sorry about Milo.
Yeah, so he's just, I don't know, barking at random stuff. I don't know, I just like wasn't feeling it. And then you know that mental battle that you have with yourself? It's like, why am I writing a book? I should not be writing a book. I'm not qualified to write a book. I got past that month and then I went back and read all the edits that I added during that month. Such a weight was lifted. The work that I just put in during this month, like I like faced it head on, and it actually turned out so good.
One thing about Gabe is that anything that he works on has his name on. Anything that he's releasing, you don't release unless it's perfect. But something else I was going to say was with the whole process, you did have like deadlines.
Yeah,
there were times where you did have to like power through and finish certain sections.
Yeah, so like that month was because I had a deadline that I had to meet, and you know, that was that. I had to do it no matter how I felt. Can you explain more about the process you took to come up with a family mission statement? Our mission statement is in the book. It starts right there, and it's just 10 different like family pillars, I guess, that we have. 10 different bullet points. That is our family mission statement. A friend of mine, Jeff Bethke, who actually endorsed the book, he's the top one right there. He sent me this like breakdown that we followed together and was so insightful on how to craft a family mission statement. He runs this thing called Family Teams, which is just like brilliant and amazing, and he just sent that to me because I'm his friend. I don't know if that's like part of a program that he sells or something, so I'm not just gonna like share that, but regardless, he is like a monster when it comes to shaping family vision and mission and all that stuff, and Jess and I have learned so much from him and his family.
Basically, we did separately have our own like goals, what we like see for our family. Then we came together, and that's how we created it.
Was it hard to be vulnerable to talk about some of the things in your book? The toughest thing to open up about was talking about my ex and my past relationship, because I've talked about the whole thing online before, but I just kind of really went into detail on like things that happened, stuff that I just hadn't really like dug up or thought about in ages.
I was reading it, kind of hearing some of the stuff for the first time.
So yeah, that was kind of interesting and tough, and sharing a lot of the stupid mistakes I made in that period of time. It's like definitely tough to write about, but I like being an open book because an open book. I mean, it's the whole purpose of like why I wrote the thing, is I don't want to just like live my story for the sake of myself. Anyone can use their story and the things that they've learned and the experiences that they've gone through to help impact and inspire other people. Even for myself, I learned through all those mistakes that I made and that experience that I went through. I recap a lot of it in the book as well, and how that led to me meeting Jess and being ready for that relationship with her.
That was really the hardest part for me to read.
You were so uncomfortable.
I was really uncomfortable, but understandably.
Yeah. The mindset to have during your 20s. More likely than not, you're probably like on your own. Not everyone has a spouse yet or kids yet in your 20s, specifically like your younger 20s, but you're also at a period of time where you're like out of the house or can be out of the house and kind of be on your own. It's a time where you can take risks and fail with like minimal consequence compared to like the grand scheme of the rest of your life, really. So take risks and don't be afraid to fail. Dude, and I need to take a page from that book, because at this point in my life, as you know, my life progresses, and I mean, I'm still in my 20s, but I'm married, I have a kid. Oh, wait, are you laughing at that joke too?
That was funny.
I see my fear of failure increasing over time, which I didn't think was gonna happen. It's just the nature of, you know, YouTube. What am I gonna do? Tell them to stop weed whacking the grass? You know what I mean?
Weed whacking.
Oh, sorry, I'm American.
Whippersnipper.
How did you guys handle long distance?
Wow.
That was so lame. We got married.
Yeah. Don't go into long distance if you don't fully trust the person, because I feel like that's just going to be messy. The trust has to be fully both ways, because you could be like, who are they with? Are they seeing someone at their school every day or at their work every day?
Say this is like the meter of trust, right? You don't want it just in the middle, like, oh yeah, I don't not trust them, but you want it to be like, oh no, we as a couple are actively doing things for the other person to make sure that they can trust me.
Which we did learn about, and we did go through that, and there is some juice in the book about that.
Did you have writer's block somewhere in the process? If you see Gabriel Conti with Mark D'Agostino, Mark was my amazing co-writer and helped me so much. Being as green as I was and not writing a book ever, I wanted help on like my first one. So Mark was brilliant, and it was so collaborative. Obviously there were times where like I got the whole manuscript at some point that I just needed to crank through myself. But like at the start, it was so collaborative. The launch process of it was really easy. At the beginning, we spent like a week just talking, 5 to 6 hours a day, just talking and talking and talking. We had a recorder there. Mark just kind of knew how to take everything that I wanted to share from all those conversations and kind of how to structure it well, and how it could really be presented in book format. I obviously had final say since it's my book, so then he would present me with like, oh, this is what an outline could look like, and then I would say, I think this should go here, this should go there. But for the most part, it was like this beautiful back and forth of like, I would change something, then it'd go back to him, and he would change something and go back to me, and we would yeah. Jess is leaving to feed Micaiah.
We are back. The baby is fed.
What made it happen for intentionality to be Jess's favorite word? There's actually a whole part of us talking about intentionality in the book, and then I'm stealing the word from you.
I think it might have come from just learning a lot about love languages. I think I just realized that's what I really appreciate in people, and since my top love language is quality time, like naturally that means that I like love being intentional with people, and I love seeing intentionality.
It really encapsulates like a posture of the heart, I think.
I just think there's so many reasons why being intentional is so important. Who encouraged you to write a book?
A lot of people, I guess, but the main person was my manager. For years, he wanted me to write a book.
Not just as a business move either. Like when you say my manager, it kind of sounds like a business thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a business thing. Like, I want you to write a book. Over the years, we've just had so many conversations, and he's gotten, we've gotten to know each other, and we're such close friends now. And he just wanted me to share.
He just knows you so well and knows like what you've been through.
He just wanted me to talk about stuff in a book because it was a much like deeper format. And for years, he told me to do it, but was fine with me not wanting to do it for so long because I didn't feel like I was ready to write a book yet. But then when the time came, he was like, he was all over it, and was just so encouraging, and was the main person trying to push me to do this new format of content, I guess you could say is what it is.
Did you face depression when writing? If yes, how did you overcome it to actually finish?
Yeah, so that one actually was tied into that question before when I talked about that like month of writing that was just like really tough for me. She just vomited. During that time too, a part of why it was really hard was because I was dealing with depression again. The one thing that was crazy about the whole process was that it was so therapeutic. Like stuff I was putting down on paper was kind of happening in real time with like what I was experiencing, what I was feeling. And there's actually a point in the book where I even say like, right now, I'm dealing with depression. I was just like, I need to be real. So I go a bit into that in the book as well. But yeah, I did face depression during the process of writing.
What was the process of getting a publisher for the book like?
It was definitely easier for me because we have a whole team in place already to kind of help with those things. So my agency connected me with like a book agent who's my book agent. But first, before going to a publisher, he connected me with Mark. So we could work on a proposal together. And that went out to different publishers, and then the different publishers could choose to pick it up or not, or, you know, make an offer on it and stuff. Not sure if that made sense, but you get the picture. Has Jess ever considered writing a book?
Actually though, how many times have I said I would love to write a novel?
You say that all the
I
time.
say it all
Like
the
a
time.
murder mystery novel specifically.
Or like a little rom-com.
Guys, sorry we're a mess. Jess needs to go put Micaiah down for a nap right now. But what was the most stressful part about writing this book? I wouldn't say it was necessarily stressful. Like, the writing process wasn't stressful. It was more so challenging. The more stressful part is kind of now. Trying to make sure that the book does well and kind of meets, you know, the expectations and hopes that I have for it and the team has for it. That's a bit more stressful, I guess, than even the writing process itself, which, you know, might sound funny, but that is my fear of failure just kind of kicking in, being like, oh, you know, you might not succeed at this. You wrote this whole book and, you know, for what? But anyway, she's back.
I'm gonna leave this link down below, missionformeaning.com. It's a very encouraging read, very inspiring read. I just know it's gonna touch a lot of people, so.
Yeah, I hope so. If you want to try and help out to get it on the New York Times bestseller list, that's like a stretch, but, you know, let's aim high. Pre-ordering a physical copy would be just super beneficial. The links are below for all of that, and if you want to get it in person, you can do that as well on October 18th, which is Tuesday.
I literally can't wait.
Exciting.
We're gonna have to go to every single store that has it in all of Nashville.
I know, it's gonna be so sick.
If you like it, leave it a little review on Amazon or something, or Goodreads, wherever.
If there's a lot of engagement, it really helps with just getting it out there. It would just really mean a lot to, like, have...
Sorry, you're gonna make me cry.
I'm not gonna cry. It would just really mean a lot if, like, the story that God has, I guess, blessed me with and us with, if that's able to, like, impact people's lives, that's like, I don't know, that's crazy. So I'm not gonna cry. Anyway, that's all.
Let us know what you think.
Bye.